Welcome to our Bok Friday Australian Immigration Chat. Welkom by ons Bok Vrydag, Australië se immigrasiebespreking. My name is Yossi Witkowsky. I'm an Australian immigration lawyer. I'm also a South African lawyer from Ramsden Lawyers. We have offices in the Gold Coast, Brisbane, and also in Sydney. I'm originally from Cape Town, South Africa, but I live in Brisbane, Australia. Today I'm joined by my colleague, Yossi, a law student from South Africa and currently working at Ramsden Lawyers in the Gold Coast. Goeiedag Yossi, sal jy asseblief jouself voorstel?
Hallo Yossi, baie dankie dat ek vandag hier kan wees saam met jou en hallo aan almal in Suid-Afrika wat ons join op hierdie vir Bok Vrydag gesels. Ek sien baie uit vir wat hier uit gaan kom. Maar kom ek stel eers myself gou voor. Ek is Yossi van Dam. Ek het in Suid-Afrika groot geword op die ouderdom van 18, Australië toe getrek om my Bachelor of Law and Commerce by Bond University in Australië te voltooi en ek is baie trots daarop om te sê dat ek nog steeds Suid-Afrikaans is. So Yossi, what is your reason for immigrating to Australia? Why did you decide on Australia?
Well, it just made sense to me because crime was getting out of control in South Africa, and I wanted a better future for my children, and a safer environment for my children. So I put my family first, and that's why I decided on Australia. Then also the annoyance of load shedding, and I'm sure many people can relate. I'm sure you can relate.
Yes.
And that was really affecting the economy in South Africa, and that's why it was a no-brainer for me.
Absolutely. I do understand your frustration, Yossi. It's load shedding. There's a lot of issues, ongoing issues in South Africa at the moment, and I think you are very brave for doing this for your family.
Thank you.
Yossi, from my experience and from what I've heard, the immigration process can be very complicated, and I think a lot of South Africans want more information on what does the immigration process entail, and is it complicated? Is it as complicated as it seems? What was your experience?
Yeah, sure, Yossi. Well, while the immigration process can be very daunting and complicated if you're doing it on your own, I would recommend that you use an immigration professional to help you navigate through the process. When it comes to general skilled migration, I can break it down into 3 simple steps, really. The first step is to obtain a positive skills assessment. Now, this is essential because it's basically the Australian Skills Assessing Authority for your occupation, assessing your qualifications, your work experience, and your skills, and they are testing it against the Australian qualification framework. So it's imperative that you get a positive skills assessment. That's the first step. The second step is to lodge an expression of interest. So what is an expression of interest? It's basically showing the Australian government that you meet the basic eligibility requirements for immigration. So for example, you need competent English, you need a positive skills assessment, so you lodge your positive skills assessment with your expression of interest. You need to be under 45 at the time when you receive an invite, so that's very important, and you need to meet the minimum threshold of points, and that's been 65 points. So after you lodge the expression of interest, and once you receive an invite from the Australian government, then the third and final stage is really to lodge your visa application.
Wow, Yossi, that is really helpful information, and I did not know a lot of those things. So I think just sharing that with the South African community is already guiding them and giving them a perspective that the process isn't that hard and it is possible to move to Australia.
Yes, and that's why it's really important to use the right professional, because you don't want to, it costs a lot of money and you don't want to risk this application by doing it yourself.
Yes.
Yossi, hoe was jou ervaring met die verkryging van 'n studentenvisum?
Ja, Yossi, so dit was eintlik vir my 'n baie maklike proses gewees omrede die institusie waardeur ek studeer, my baie gelei het deur my proses, maar ek dink as ek nie leiding gehad het of professionele mense gehad het wat my deur hierdie proses gelei het nie, dan sou dit dalk 'n duurder proses gewees het en moeilik. So ek dink definitief, soos jy gesê het, dit help baie om professionele mense te hê wat jou deur die proses lei en net so bietjie help om dis ook 'n hartseer proses. So daar's baie goedjies betrokke, emosies en net as daar mense is wat jou gelukkig lei, dan maak dit die proses net soveel makliker. Yossi, I know my experience in Australia has been an absolute dream. The people I've met, the connections I've made, the sense of freedom, and it's such a life-changing experience for myself. How is your experience, and how is it living in Australia?
Well, I think I find the lifestyle very similar to that in South Africa, except for one obvious fact, there's a lot less crime. So this has given us an unbelievable sense of freedom. There's also many, many more opportunities for my children. So, and I found Australians extremely welcoming, and they ready to give you a fair go.
I agree. It's definitely a life-changing experience for the better.
Yanay, as we end off now, do you have any advice for South Africans who would like to live or study in Australia?
Yes, Yossi. I think my advice would be that you really just need to take that first step. Have courage, take the first step. And it is becoming more and more difficult to get into Australia because a lot of people, Australia is such a beautiful country to live in, so there are a lot of people moving to Australia. So I think it is important to make a decision and to start getting your process ongoing, and yes, just start your application, get in contact with the right professionals, and just do it before it's too late. Yossi, it was lovely chatting to you today, or should I say dit was baie lekker om vandag met jou te kon gesels. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share to the people in South Africa?
Well, I think it's important to note that, and I really echo your sentiments in that get your application in fast because the legislative landscape is changing.
Yes.
And it's becoming a lot more competitive to get into Australia. So I would urge people not to delay if that's what they want to do. And then in that same vein, if you're interested in moving to Australia and depending if we are happy that you meet the eligibility requirements, then you can have a 15-minute free consultation with one of our immigration lawyers. We handle gender skilled migration, we handle family visas, we handle work sponsor visas and student visas. There's actually nothing that we can't do when it comes to immigration. And then I hope to hear from you all soon. And one last piece of advice or just a shout out, go Bokke.
Yes, groen en goud.
My bloed is nog steeds groen en goud. Baie
Ja,
dankie Jenny.
Dankie Yossi, en ja, groete en liefde vir almal in Suid-Afrika, en ons hoop om van julle te hoor.
aan